So I don't plan to use a strap or anything today. Just make sure you have your blocks maybe. Make sure you have blocks, and if you want blankets, grab blankets. Remember, anything you use at the studio, either if you want to wipe off the blocks after you use them before you put them up, fine, or leave them on the floor, and I'll do it. And same thing for blankets, just leave them, I'll take them home and wash them still. Even though they say that's not how anything is passed around, I'm still doing it, so. What harm would it do, right?
Yeah.
So, sit, however is comfortable. Take your time to settle in there. It's fine. If you need anything else, grab it. And just close your eyes, sitting up nice and tall here now. Let yourself feel that ease of the head floating up there on top of your spine. Let the crown of the head reach upward. Feel your shoulders releasing down. And then just enjoy accepting your breaths in and out through your nose. And if you can, allow the breath to come in to expand your belly a little bit on your inhales. You are comfortable to come towards those 3-part breaths. You can inhale into the belly, into your ribs, all the way up into your chest. On your next exhale, let your hands come on out beside you, fingertips lightly touching the ground here. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands right down together in front of our chest. And then we'll reverse the arms. Inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And let's inhale the hands straight out from our shoulders now. Flex your hands, draw your elbows, bend your elbows, draw your hands in towards your shoulders. And then as you exhale, press out into the heels of the hands. Keep your hands flexed. And then again, inhaling, bringing the hands in towards your shoulders. And as you exhale, pressing out. And then one more time, inhaling, bringing the hands inward. And then as you exhale, pressing on out to the heels of the hands. And then let your fingertips face down. Let yourself feel the tops of your arms a little more. Make a loose fist with your hands and start to circle your hands. So coming into the wrists a little bit here. And then reverse those circles. Let yourself go the other way so you feel those wrists that way. Good. And then bring the hands on down. Let's flex through our feet. If we're cross-legged, press into the outside edges of your feet. And come forward. So you may decide you want to stay way up high with your back long, just a little bit forward. You may feel pretty good to go farther. Remember, think of coming forward from your low back. And then at the end, if you want to go ahead and round a little bit, go ahead, as long as it feels okay in your back. You can go as far forward as you choose. So if you can, keep your hands or your arms centered there, but let your shoulders shift over to one side and then the other. So you're just barely going just a tiny little bit from side to side. You'll feel it more in the low back, each side there. And then come on back into center. One more breath there. Let your face soften. Try to feel the weight of your head if you can. And then we'll slowly walk ourselves right on back upright. And bring our hands behind us. Now you can stay up on fingertips if you want, or you can go back onto flat hands if you choose to. But think of drawing your sternum forward. Whether you look up a little bit or keep your gaze forward, or even look up more is up to your neck. But don't do anything that's going to stress your neck out there. Let it feel good. Nice. And then we'll rise on back up. Shake out just a little bit. And remember which leg you have in front. We're going to stretch our legs out in front of us though. So remember which leg you did first. Let your feet circle around one direction. Doesn't matter whether they go the same way or opposite, right? And then just reverse the circles too. And then do little wiper blades with your feet, either side to side or in and out, right? I like to do a little bit of both. And then, remember I don't mirror, let's all keep our right leg long and bring our left foot into the inside of our leg somewhere, where you can sit up tall. You can bring it to your inner thigh if you want. All we're gonna do is twist to our left, bringing our left hand behind us. So bringing yourself around, and you can have your hand on your knee or your right arm can come across to the outside of the leg if you want. Just be easy, lengthen upward, and feel your sitting bones in the floor. Good. One more inhale here. As you exhale, come back around, and now take this left ankle and cross it above your right knee into a figure 4 here, and come just a little bit forward here, so you really feel like you're waking up the back of that right long leg. So take your time as you come forward, just be mindful of feeling the back of the leg a little bit there, as well as opening up a little more in your left hip. And we'll come all the way back up. We're going to stretch the left leg long and bring the right foot into the inside of the leg somewhere. Remember, it can be higher or lower. Inhale into that length, and then as you exhale, bring your right hand behind you. So coming into that twist, again, you can keep your left hand just resting on your knee. If it feels really good to bring the arm farther across you, that has to do with lots of things, like how high your foot is up on your leg, and where your twist feels good, and also whether you want to involve your shoulder, right? So just enjoy. Lengthen up, feel that sense of waking up your spine here. Good, one more breath. And then slowly come on back around, and we're going to take that right ankle and cross it above the left knee. And then again, just wake up the back of the leg by coming forward a little bit here. So flex through both the feet. Feel the left toes facing up towards the ceiling. Pull the heel towards the ground and draw it back towards you. So you're very engaged in that leg as you're coming forward. Good. One more breath here. And then let's come on back up. And we are going to bring the other leg in front for our cross legs. So see if you can remember, usually it's just the side you don't normally do first naturally, right? And we're going to come forward from here. So flex again through both your feet. Press down gently into the outside edges of your feet and make your way forward as far as you want to go, right? So you stay up. If that feels better, if you want to walk your hands farther out, come farther forward, by all means do. And then see again if you can shift a little bit with your torso, one way and then the other. So you just let yourself easily come a little bit from side to side. And make your way back into center. One more breath. And we'll walk ourselves back up again. And from here, bring your knees on up, stretch your legs on out, and bring your hands on out beside you into a little staff pose. So turn your palms down, let your fingertips face forward, and let yourself just enjoy lengthening up through the top of your head. And let's bring our right arm all the way out and up overhead. And then let your left hand come out a little bit. Come on over into a side stretch here with your legs long. Breathing into the right ribs. And you can turn your head a little bit, looking down or forward or up if you want, just to let the neck release. Whatever feels like the best to your neck, really. And we're going to rise back up. Use your belly to help you. We're going to lower that right arm down, rise the left arm up. And coming over into that side stretch on this side. So again, just be easy. If it feels good to move your head around a little bit, do. Or maybe you find a place you want to stay. You know, if you find a really tight feeling, either in your upper back or your neck, or, you know, if you feel like staying in one spot, do. One more breath. And then we'll rise on back up again. And let yourself shake everything out. We're going to come around towards our hands and knees. So if you know that you don't want to be on your knees, but you need a blanket, by all means grab a blanket. Put it under your knees. If your hands or your wrists are bothering you, being on your hands like this, You can always go down to your forearms to do cat-cow. It works. It feels different, but it does work. So if that feels better for you, or to come onto fists rather than flat hands. And let's just move through easily through our cat-cows at our own pace. So if you're like, oh, just staying in cat or cow feels great, then do. If you feel like continuously moving, you can just continuously flow through the spine there. Just imagine those muscles alongside of your spine getting nice and warmed up and keeping your spine in alignment. Feel your tailbone initiating. And feel equal between your hands. And we're going to finish off the one that we're on. And we're going to come to a more neutral spine. And from here, we'll step our left foot forward, keeping our right foot back for a lunge. So if you'd rather have your blocks underneath your hands, do. Bring that right knee up once you get situated there, finding your lunge. And draw your shoulders down away from your ears. Let yourself enjoy reaching into that inner right heel back there. Find that length in the back of the body, back of your head in line with your spine if you can. Good. And let's step back into a plank. Let your left foot step back. Find a brief plank here. And then we'll step forward with our right foot and come into lunge on the other side. So, you can always put your left knee down to get into that lunge. Just take your time. Feel the feet in the floor. Draw your shoulders down away from your ears. And find that length down the back of the body. Now engage your belly a little bit too. Good. One more breath. This time we're going to step forward to get our feet underneath us. Take a breath here. And then we'll step our right foot back again into lunge. So take your time. If possible, see if you can think about bringing your left hand up above your knee. Maybe even both hands up above your knee, but stay forward with your body so you're still really lengthened instead of thinking of lifting up with your shoulders over your hips. And then we'll bring both hands back down. We're just going to switch legs however you want this time. So coming to that right foot forward, pressing the feet away from each other. And if you want to float your right hand or forearm up to your thigh, or maybe you want to try for both, just coming more deeply into the legs and the hips. Good. And then we'll come on back down with the hands because we'll step forward into standing forward bend here. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. Let your knees bend quite a bit. So think about your belly coming towards your thighs. And if you need a long back, do it. Keep your elbows above your knees if you need to support your back long, or your hands on your blocks or the floor. Or you can go ahead and fold over the legs, letting your head hang. And then just kind of walk a little bit in your Uttanasana. So let one leg straighten as one leg is bent, and go to the other side when you're ready. And just move through a little bit that way. Getting up into the outer hips. And then come on back to being centralized out between your feet. And let yourself come into your Uttanasana, whether you want to hold your elbows or keep your support. And then come to your breaths. Nice, full, deep breaths. Inhaling and exhaling really easily, so you're not forcing, but imagine the inhales and exhales are equally important, so they equalize out in length a little bit. Good, so one more breath here. And then we'll bring our hands up to our hips. We're going to bend our knees and rise up. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down to be in front of our chest. Coming into your mountain pose, if you need to adjust a little bit, do make sure to get your feet the comfortable distance apart for you, right? So hips distance apart, fairly parallel. Let your hands again come to meet, if they aren't already, in front of your chest. And then feel your hands for a second. Bring your awareness to feeling your fingers gently connecting there. Your thumbs, your palms. And now let your tailbone reach down and back towards between your heels, kind of almost a little behind your heels actually. So you're not tucking your tailbone up under you at all. And your pelvis aligns there. And then your hips really want to be over your ankles and your shoulders over your hips. Think of your ears being over your shoulders so that your head feels really light up there, like it's floating up in the clouds in your mountain. And then we'll unfold both our arms on down beside us, and we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, bend our knees. Come on forward into that standing forward bend. And let your next inhale help you find a nice long flat back wherever you want your hands to go. Really flatten out the spine. Good. We're going to step the right foot back and come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into downward facing dog pose. So finding that down dog, be mindful, take your time, hug your elbows towards each other if you need to walk or wag your tail around. Just be, let yourself move a little bit if you need to, rather than feeling like you're going to lock yourself into your down dog. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Feel your hands equal on the floor here. And on the next inhale, we'll come on out to plank. Nice and strong plank. See if you can not sink into your belly. Feel your sitting bones reaching for your heels. Lift your right foot just a little bit up off the floor. And then put it back down, and then lift your left foot just a little bit up off the floor. Three-legged planks, and then put that foot down. We're going to lower down to the mat. Now you can put your knees down first. You can go through a half or a full push-up coming down. Now let's come onto our forearms. Let your elbows come as close to under the shoulders as is comfortable for you. Coming into Sphinx, bring your gaze there between your hands or a little forward. Just make sure you feel comfort in your neck, right? You don't want to look up and tense up the back of the neck. Instead, it feels nice and long and open. See if you can just turn your head to look towards your left hand a little bit. And then come back to center and turn just to look towards your right hand, just a little bit. Just moving a little bit with the head. And then come on back in to look between your hands. We're going to come down and slide our hands back by our chest. Now keep your forehead on the floor for a second and hug your elbows towards each other. And imagine that you're drawing your hands now down towards your waist, like you're trying to pull yourself forward a little bit. And then come on up into a low cobra at first. Stay here for a breath. You can keep pulling with the hands like you're dragging yourself forward a little bit. And then if you're like, oh, I just can't wait to push up higher, you can go all the way up higher into your cobra if you choose. Elbows hugging in, shoulders down away from your ears. One more breath here. And then we'll lower back down. We're going to make our way back to down dog from here. Whether you come through a half or a full push-up, making your way back into your down dog. So again, if you need to walk your dog a little bit, do. Just be mindful. Let it feel really good. Feel the whole body in your down dog here. And we're going to bring our right foot forward to find lunge, however you need to get it there. And then we're going to come all the way back forward into standing forward bend, feet hips distance apart and parallel. And you go right where you need. You need support, use it. You want to hold your elbows, feel free. Enjoy the weight of the torso, the weight of your head. And just think really soft face. Really think about releasing through the face, around your eyes, around your mouth. Letting your jaw go. Good. And then we'll let our hands rise up to our hips. We're going to bend our knees and come on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's unfold our arms and bring our hands behind us and interlace your fingers. Really bend your elbows for a second and squeeze your palms towards each other. So you really feel your biceps a little bit there. And then let the hands come down, let the palms come apart for a second, and let yourself feel that sense of, really, as you lengthen up through the crown of the head, you feel your pelvis coming into alignment. You don't want to tuck forward, remember, with the tailbone. Reach it back a little bit. And then slide your hands to the right. Let your left forearm come onto your low back and squeeze your right palm in a little bit towards your left. And then release your right arm down. And we're going to rise the right arm out and up overhead and bend our elbow and let our hand come wherever you can, right? Now, if you want to send your hands closer towards each other on your back, go for it. And if you're like, yeah, no way, don't do anything that makes your shoulders feel uncomfortable, right? So this elbow of the right arm can be out more, it can be forward more. Keep your gaze forward if you can. And then we're going to stretch the right arm back. Let your left arm come to lay right down. Just hang your left arm down from your shoulder. And then we're going to switch. Just let the left arm rise up as the right arm comes down. Go ahead and fold this arm behind you. And then from here, let yourself go ahead and bend your elbow, right? So be mindful. If you feel like you want to bring your hands together, do. If you don't, don't. Keep your gaze forward. Let the shoulders open up a little bit there wherever you are. And then bring your hands on down. This time we're going opposite. We're going to bring our hands together and clasp them right here over to the left side. And we're going to squeeze our palm in. So we just went backwards, retrograded there. And then go ahead and let your hands come on down to center. And here, if you can, when you inhale, see if you can let your hands and arms come away from you a little bit. When you exhale, let them come back down, right? So inhaling, letting the arms float a little bit away. And on the exhale, letting them come back down. Now this time, keep your hands down as you inhale. And as you exhale, bend your knees and come on forward. Now this is up to you. You can stay more parallel to the floor with the knees bent. You can fold over your legs if you're able to do that without feeling discomfort in your back. Now releasing the arms away from your back. Totally up to you and your shoulders. Be where you can. Let yourself release into the shoulders wherever you're able to have your hands. Good. And then release your arms on down. Let your next inhale lengthen out your spine. And exhale the left foot back this time to come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. Yay, for the dog again. So now it's feeling better. So let yourself come home to dog. Move however you need. And on the next inhale, we're going to come out to plank again. Now this time we're going to try a little side plank work. You can put your left knee down if you want to. Use it like a kickstand, your left foot. Rise your right arm up into your side plank there. Or you can do a full side plank if you choose to. That's up to you. Let yourself be where you can. And then we'll come on back down with the right hand. Come back to your full plank. Walk your plank a little bit. Bend one knee at a time. Let yourself walk through the plank. And then we're going to go the other side. So again, right knee can come down. You can go into your full side plank if you choose. Left arm coming up. Letting yourself come into your side plank there. Whichever variation you want to do. And then we'll come on back down with the hand, come back to your plank again, and we're going to lower down. Knees first if you need, elbows right by the ribs. And we'll come into cobra. Now you can stay low, you know that. You can press up higher if you choose. Elbows hugging in towards the ribs. From here, we're going to shift back towards pose of a child. Bringing the big toes together, knees apart, and letting ourselves keep our arms overhead, but let your elbows soften. Take a couple of breaths there. And then come up enough to thread the needle with your left arm. So let your left arm come through with the palm facing up. Now you can let your left side of your head rest on the floor with the right arm overhead, or you can bring your right hand back if you want. Whatever feels good. One more breath here. And then bring your right hand by your face, press yourself up, and we're going to thread the needle with the right arm coming under, palm facing up. Again, you can stretch the left arm up overhead if that feels good, or you can let the elbows soften and
You just focus more on that breath between the shoulder blades without any kind of discomfort. Nice full breaths. And then bring your left hand by your face so you can press yourself up. We're going to walk forward onto all fours again. So get yourself set, curl your toes under, and come on back into downward facing dog pose. Walk a little bit here. And then from here, we'll bring our left foot forward to come into that lunge, however we need to get there. And then we'll come on back into our standing forward bend, right to your breath. Full deep breaths, feeling your ribs expand as you inhale. And then letting your hands come on right to your hips now. We'll bend our knees and rise up. And we'll inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. We're going to flow with the breath a couple of times here through two sun salutations. So let your arms unfold down beside you and let your inhale rise your arms out and up. And let your exhale be what brings you forward. Inhale into that nice long back. Exhale, right foot back to lunge. And inhale, exhale into your downward dog. Let your inhale carry you to plank. And let your exhale be what lowers you. So your inhale will bring you into your cobra. And your exhale will bring you back to down dog. Inhale. Exhale, right foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising with your breath all the way to the top. Let the exhale carry you forward. And inhale into that long back. Exhale, left foot back this time to lunge. And inhale, exhale into downward dog. Let your inhale bring you to plank. Let your exhale lower you down. And inhale again into that cobra. And exhale back to down dog. Inhale. Exhale, left foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising all the way back to the top. And on the exhale, coming forward again. Inhale into that long back. We're going to come into down dog. Take your time. You can walk, you can jump, get to your dog however you want. Spread your fingers wide if you need to. Look at your hands do. Remember, think of your pointer fingers being about parallel to each other. And feel really even through your hands. Reach back equally through your sitting bones. And now, press your feet away from each other like you're trying to make your mat wider with your feet. But hug your elbows in towards each other. Have all that action going on up into the shoulders and the hips. Nice. We are going to bring our left foot forward from here, and we're coming up to warrior two. Have both your blocks handy, just in case you want them. Line up your heels. Take your time, line up that front knee out over the center of your foot. See if you can lift your left toes up briefly. Make sure you're feeling pretty centered on those four corners of your foot. And then lower the toes back down. Let's bring our right arm under our left and give ourselves a hug. Now, if you'd rather do eagle wrap, do eagle wrap. If you'd rather send the backs of your hands towards each other or come into a half eagle wrap, do. If you feel better just to give a hug, do. Feel your feet in the floor now. Let yourself feel open between the shoulder blades on your back. Good. And now we'll release the arms on down, and we're going to float the arms up into warrior two arms. So letting the arms come on up and bringing the gaze out over the top of that left hand. Feeling the right hand reaching equally back, but softening the tops of our shoulders. Let it feel good and strong and balanced. Just imagine yourself in space, really. One more breath. And then we'll let our right hand come down to our right hip. We're going to straighten the left knee out, and we're going to bring the left hand down for triangle. So you can bring your hand wherever you like. You know me, I like to use a block, either in front of or behind that left leg. If rising that right arm straight up from your shoulder feels good, do it. If not, you know you can keep your hand on your hip. Feel your thighs engaging up towards the hips. Now, if possible, let your right arm come down towards your head so you find more of a side stretch. The palm's going to turn down towards the ground. Your arm's still long And you're reaching, reaching, reaching as your thighs lift up towards the hips. And then bring the arms straight back up from your shoulder. Let yourself take a breath there. If you like to try to turn to look up towards your hand, don't bother if it bothers your neck though. And now turn to look down towards your left foot on the floor. We're going to bend the left knee and come on back into Warrior Two, pressing those feet away from each other as we come. And now let your arms come down. We're going to find lunge. So you may want your hands on blocks. You may want to use the floor. Release that right heel directly behind you. And let's add a simple twist. You can either bring your left hand to your hip, keeping it there on your low back, or you can stretch your arm up. Whichever one feels good, just let yourself find that twist in the middle of the back. And then bring your hand on back down. And we are going to walk to the inside of that left front foot. Let your left toes turn out towards the left front corner of your mat. You can be up on your blocks, that's up to you. You can have your hands down lower. And then when you're ready, let that back knee come down to the floor, and you may just automatically want to come down onto your forearms. You can always stack your blocks up to any height, or you can come down all the way to the floor. Press the top of your right toes gently into the mat a little bit, so you feel that engagement and you're really getting deeply into the front of that right hip. Good. So one more breath there. And now we're going to shift back, and you'll want to bring your hands now to either side of that left foot, left leg, and send your hips back, straighten that left leg out, and come forward over that leg to get into your hamstring a little bit now. So just easing your way. Imagine really that your midline of your body is coming out over the inside of that left leg. Use your blocks if you want. You know, if anybody wants to come up and slide that heel a little forward towards a split, you can. You don't need to. If you like to try to challenge a little bit more, you can use your arms to support you. You can go as low as you want. Don't have to do them at all. That's totally up to you. And then we're going to come on back. We're going to bring our knees back. Come into child's pose for a breath. Let yourself release back. Let the big toes come together and the knees separate as much as you want. And then on your inhale, come back up to all fours, and we're going to make our way back to downward facing dog pose. And see if you can, on your inhale, come out to a plank. Now you can add a back bend or not. You can come through chaturanga, or you can go to your up dog from your plank. And you can go back to down dog. So let yourself move a little bit here, or put your knees down and rest if you choose. So if you want to do any vinyasas or kriyas, go for it. If you're like, no thank you, put your knees down and rest. Good. And we'll finish off and meet back in down dog. And then from here, we'll bring our right foot forward. We're coming up from Warrior Two, so again, you know what's coming. So if you like your block for your triangle, let yourself set up there. And take your time. Ease your way into the alignment of your legs. Left arm comes under the right, so right arm on top this time for the hug. Or making your way into a half eagle or an eagle wrap with your arms. So again, let it feel good, right? We're trying to release tension, not add it. So if it feels too much, just hug yourself. Let yourself imagine you're bringing your breath into between the shoulder blades on your back. And then we're going to release the arms right down. We're going to inhale the arms up and out for those Warrior Two arms. Again, really think about reaching through the fingertips, softening the tops of the shoulders down. Feel the feet in the floor equally. And bring your gaze like you're looking out beyond the wall, right? Right over the top of your right hand, but it's like you can see all the way out to the horizon. One more breath. And then we'll let our left hand come to our hip, straighten our right knee out. We're going to bring our right hand down for triangle. So again, whatever you like to use for support, your leg or block, releasing into that left shoulder, drawing up. Left arm, if you choose, to come up with the palm facing out. So just feel those thighs lifting up towards the hips. if you do feel that left arm is fine up there and you want to lower it down for that side stretch, you can release the arm down more towards your head, turn your palm down towards the floor. Feel those thighs lifting upward. And then let the arm float back straight up from your shoulder. Now you can look up if you choose. You can think of looking up towards that hand. Again, not necessary. And then take your time and look down towards your right foot. Make sure you're not rolling on it. You know, you can even think of lifting your toes up a little bit there. And then we're going to bend that right knee. We're going to come on back into Warrior Two, pressing the feet away from each other, getting us right back into that strength and power of our Warrior Two pose. Soften the shoulders down. Good. Now we're going to come into lunge. So, you know, if you need to bring your blocks under your hands, we're going to add that twist first. So making your way into right hand up to the right hip with a low back. Then rolling your shoulder up. Keep your hand down if you want. Stretch your arm up if you want to. Just enjoy. Good. And then release your hand back down into lunge. And we're going to walk our hands to the inside of that right foot with the toes facing more towards the right front corner. Now this is up to you to lower that back knee down, coming to the top of the foot. Again, you might want to stack blocks up. You might want to go lower. You know, you may decide you want your blocks to be higher, stacked on top of each other. Get out of your hands would be nice for most of us, but if you're fine, you can stay up on your hands. Think about the toes facing out a little bit so that you've got a tiny bit of a turnout in that front foot. And just be easy. Press gently into the top of the left toes too. So you can feel that engagement as you're really coming into opening the front of that left hip. Good. So one more breath. Now we're going to come up and we're going to shift our hips back, straighten that front leg out. So you have to bring your hands to either side of it and kind of adjust yourself as you come forward over that front leg. And just be mindful. Think about, if it's too much in your left knee to shift your hips back, then you can stay like over the left knee and come more forward. Or you can bend the knee a little bit more and shift your hips back more if that feels okay to you. That is a knee thing that you need to pay attention to for you. Feel the heel of the right foot drawing back towards you a little bit. And now, of course, if you want to add that little bit of a split, coming in with that heel coming forward and letting yourself come down towards a split, you can, but it's not necessary to do that. Just ease your way into what feels good for you. You've got the support of your hands to support you where you are. Good. And then we're going to bring that leg back. That's the hardest part. And bring yourself back into child's pose for a breath. See if you can reach your arms long overhead and let yourself come into your pose of a child for a breath. And then on your inhale, coming on back to all fours. We're going to come back to down dog. It is optional to do whatever you want here. Vinyasas, kriyas, whether you like to move through into an up dog in any way. Be mindful, take your time. Good. And then finish off, meet back in down dog. Take your time, really find your dog, get really balanced feeling in your dog, right? Almost like you're resting in your down dog. And then we'll bring our left foot forward for Warrior One. So get yourself adjusted there. Coming on forward, coming on up, getting that back right heel, just the angle that feels good for this back foot. We're pretty open through the front of our hips, so hopefully it'll feel quite easy. And then just bring your hands to your heart and spread your fingers. Let your thumbs come in towards your chest. And then clasp your hands, send your palms outward, right away from your chest. Now, as they rise up, it's up to you and your shoulders. They can stay forward. You can bring your hands overhead if you choose. You can bring your gaze up if you want. Feel this lift right at the base of your shoulder blades so you don't feel a sense of compression or pressure in your low back. Good. Feel the feet equal in the floor. Make sure you're feeling the outside edge of that right foot reaching towards the floor. One more breath. And then bring your hands back down in front of your chest, in front of your heart. Spread the fingers nice and wide. And we're going to straighten that front leg out. We're going to turn. Get your feet parallel and wide and bring your arms straight out for a 5-pointed star. So reaching out, palms are facing down, hands are just a little bit higher than your shoulders, where you're comfortable to be, really. And then just enjoy. Make sure you're not tucking your tailbone up under you. So reach the tailbone back and down a little bit so there's a natural curve in your low back, but easily. Good. And then we'll bring our arms on down. We're going to come forward into a wide-legged forward bend. So bend your knees, grab your blocks if you want them. Take your time, get your hands down to what support you want, and bend one knee at a time when you get there. Just easily getting a little deeper into your inner thighs. And make your way on back into center. Walk your hands out like you're doing a down dog, right? So they're way out in front of you. Let your chest melt down. Let your elbows hug inward a little towards each other. And then walk your hands back, whether they're on blocks or the floor, and take your time to find a way to be with your breath here. So if you need support, stack blocks up if you prefer to do that. Put your elbows above your knees if that's a good way to support your low back. Or of course, you're welcome to bring your hands back more towards between your feet. Find your breath now. Just really accept those breaths as easily as you can, in and out. Imagine you're resting in those little spaces between your breaths. Feel your face just relaxing deeper and deeper. One more breath. Walk our hands back out. We are going to walk back to our left foot to come on back into lunge. And we'll make our way back into our downward facing dog pose. Onward to whatever you need to do. Vinyasas, kriyas, or if you want to rest. You can always just stay in dog. You can forget doing back bends. Come out just to plank. In other words, it's up to you. You know that. Good. And then we'll meet back in down dog. Take a breath there. Let yourself really, again, find your dog easily. And we're going to bring the right foot forward to come up for warrior one. So again, getting that back foot just adjusted just right as you rise up, and let your hands come to your heart there at first. Get really where you're comfortable with this back leg, and feel the foot fully on the floor back there. Let it feel really good. Feel your shoulders over your hips. And let's clasp our hands, send our palms right out from the chest, and again, rise the arms up. Now, maybe they're only going to stay a little bit forward, not all the way over the head. That is up to you and your shoulders. Press into the heels of the hands a little bit. If you can bring your gaze up, even if it's just a little bit, there's that lift at the base of your shoulder blades. And you can feel that wonderful openness at the front of your left hip there by feeling that left foot fully on the floor. And one more breath. And now bring your gaze forward, bring your hands right back down to be in front of your chest, in front of your heart. Good. And we're going to turn sideways again on the mat. This time, turn your toes out a little bit and come into a little goddess. So bend your knees a little. Let the knees come out over the center of the feet. And then bring your arms on up and out and bend your elbows into your goddess arms here. And see if you cannot, if you need to, you can move a little bit. You can inhale, kind of come straighter a little bit in the knees, and exhale, come down a little. Once you kind of get comfortable at center there, lift your right heel a little off the floor. And then lower it back down. And then try your left heel. And then bring it back down. Now, if you want to try both, go for both. Go for both, do. And then let yourself release. And we're going to come up straighter with the legs. Turn our toes forward. come on into our wide-legged forward bend. Now you can grab your blocks if you want, totally up to you. Hands can be on the floor. Once you're there, bend a knee at a time for a second. But then start to work your toes to turn out again like you were in Goddess. So turn your toes out a little bit and keep bending a knee and shift a little bit side to side. And then you can decide, as you shift now, bend your left knee, lift your right foot to where you're just on your heel on that foot on the floor. That might be enough. Or you can put your right hand down to give you support and shift your hips down all the way if you want to come into that deep stretch. Totally not necessary, especially if it bothers your knee, don't do it. And then you can come back up to go to the other side. So again, you might just want to be on the heel and let yourself find that stretch that way, or you may want to shift your hips down. That's up to you. Just be really mindful. And then we'll come on back up, and again, see if you can turn your toes where your feet are more parallel. And walk your hands over to the right. Maybe you just want to shift your blocks a little bit, but bring yourself over to the right as far as you can. Stay there for a breath or two. And then come on back through center and go to the left. And again, once you get as far as you want to go, see if you can release there. Stay. Be with your breath. Let your head be heavy if possible. And then we'll come on back into center. Now from here, you know, if you need to stack your blocks up and be forward, do. If you can turn your hands backwards where your fingertips face behind you, you can walk your hands back behind you if that's okay for you to be this way in the pose. You can be up on your fingertips that way, and if that's not good, don't do it. Put support, elbows above the knees, or use the blocks underneath your forearms or your head. And now real full deep breaths here. One more nice deep breath. And let your hands walk back out so you can walk back to your right foot now, coming back into lunge. And we're coming into down dog and into our last vinyasas or kriyas if you want to do any. If you prefer to do something else, do. You can walk to the tops of your feet. You can open your hips, lifting a foot up, letting yourself open that way. Just play a little bit. Let it feel good. Be mindful and easy. Accept what your body needs. Good. And let's meet back in down dog. And from here, bend your knees really deeply. Think about getting forward towards your hands on your mat. You might want to jump, you might want to walk. So coming on forward to get your feet underneath you. Elbows above knees if you need to support yourself in your forward bend or letting yourself release forward. A couple of full deep breaths. Good, and then we'll let our hands come on up to our hips, bend our knees. We're going to rise up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. So find your mountain pose. If you need to look at your feet, look at your feet. If you need to readjust something, do, so that you feel as balanced as you can between your feet and between the front and the back of your body. Your gaze comes forward and it feels very good to allow yourself to just imagine you're being supported by the air all around you. Let your breath settle down and your heart rate settle down a little bit. Good. And then we'll release our arms on down and shake anything out you need to. We are going to bring our mats into a wall. So let yourself bring the short edge of your mat in. And you might want to bring both your blocks with you. And let's bring our left hand towards the wall. And have your blocks there in front of you in case you want to use them, okay? You don't have to. Depends on you. we're gonna cross our left ankle. We're gonna do that figure 4 like we did when we were sitting, right? We're gonna cross the right ankle above the left knee, so the outside leg is the bent one. And then we're gonna sit back, right? And with our hips and forward with our torso. Now you can, if you want, try to balance a little bit there, letting your hands come to your heart. You don't have to. If it's one of those days, like for me, that I'm not even gonna let go of the ball, don't. And then see about whether you want to come down with your hands towards the blocks, right? To where you're coming into bending that left knee a little deeper, flexing through the right foot. Now you can even, if you want, wrap your foot, your right foot, the top of the toes can push into the outside of your left arm, or you can push the ball of your foot into the inside of that left arm, right? So you're very engaged in the hip. You don't have to do this at all. Obviously, don't overdo for the hip here. And if you want to go lower, you go lower. You can go all the way down to the floor if you want, right? You can put your hands on the floor. Let yourself engage that way. Good. Now from here, you might want your blocks again if you took them away. Uncross your legs. Send your right leg behind you like you're doing a warrior 3 for a second. And then open the hip more like you're doing a half moon. And then imagine that you're just going to come into a split, standing up. You're going to kind of walk your hands back more towards your left leg if you can. You might even want to hold on to your ankle with your left hand. Or you might just go, well, no way. Just do what you can. Let it go up as high as you can. Let yourself open your hips. And it's a big hamstring stretch on that left leg. Good. And then come on back down with that leg. Bend both your knees. Get your feet underneath you there. And we're going to rise up. You might bring your blocks with you, because all we're going to do is turn around and go the other side. So be mindful as you start to come into crossing that left ankle above the right knee. I'm going to come out because the pole is like, that's going to be my wall. And then we're going to sit back with our hips. So first, just letting yourself feel that left hip open up. Again, if you want to balance, you can bring your hands to your heart. If you feel like you want to do that, you can balance a little bit. Play with this eagle variation there. And when you do feel ready, if you can, come down lower with your hands. You know, you can be at the highest height of your blocks. You know, and if it's way too much for you, try doing it without bending the right knee as much, right? I mean, there's really huge changes when you bend the knee deeper or less. You can play with that and see. And then you can not bring your hand any lower if you don't want to. You can stay where you are. If you like pushing that left foot, either pushing the ball of the foot into the outside of your right upper arm, inside of your right upper arm, or wrapping your toes around the outside of that arm if it's there. You know, that really engages that left hip. So be where you want. Good, one more breath. And now we're going to come up so that we can uncross and send that left leg back like warrior 3. And then see about opening up like you're doing a half moon, right? So you're opening up, stacking that hip. And now this is the part where if you want to fold more over your leg and let the leg go higher, you can. You know, and you can walk your hands back more, bring yourself more towards that leg, or not, right? Totally up to you. There's really deep stretch in that standing leg, though. One more breath. And then we'll bring the leg on down. Get your feet underneath you, bend your knees, rise on up to standing. And then walk around a little bit, move through your hips. Those are really deep hip stretches. But we're going to come back to the wall and come down onto the floor and just release into a child's pose here. Now, however is comfortable. If you're like, oh my gosh, my hips have had enough, you know, you can, if you don't want to go fully in a child's pose, stay with your bottom kind of up in the air, that's fine. If it feels very good to shift back, you can use your arms as a pillow. You can put your arms back alongside your legs. Just be mindful, let it feel good. Full breaths into your low back. Good. And from here, We're gonna come on forward onto our forearms for a little dolphin pose. So coming on into either separating your hands so your forearms are parallel, or clasping your hands and sending your pinky finger out. And then lifting yourself up with your heels up to the baseboard, like towards the top of the baseboard. And feeling your elbows hug towards each other. And if you get up there and you're like, oh good grief, that feels not right, then come down and readjust. If you want your shoulders more over your elbows, then adjust to be that way. If you like more of an angle, do it. And if you want to send a foot up the wall, go for it. And if you're not into doing that, don't do it. Just take your own time. Do what feels good. Play a little bit with that being inverted there. Take your time. You know, you can come down and rest whenever you want. So when you rest, you can rest however you choose to. Sometimes it feels better to sit up and get your head above your heart when you're resting after an inversion. Sometimes it feels better to stay in child's pose. So remember, the purpose of dolphin is really to be able to find those muscles that come wrapping around underneath your arms. So your head's not on the floor, but you're also trying to release between your shoulder blades. So if you do want to go up one more time, let it be now, so that, or finish the one that you're on if you're in the middle of one. And then when you're ready to rest again, you can rest in child's pose, or you can sit up if that's better for you. Just take your time and breathe. Good. And we're going to come on around to sitting and let our legs be out in front of us. So if you know you'd rather sit up on a blanket when your legs are out long here, to come into just a basic seated forward bend, then by all means, sit up higher. You can also put support under your knees, whether it's blocks or a blanket. If you know your hamstrings, your low back are tight, sometimes that's a much better way to come forward, to have yourself be able to come from the low back, right? So coming on into your forward bend, lengthening out through the spine, whether you decide you want to reach for your feet or have your hands on your legs, just be mindful. And if possible, if you can let your head release, do. If you feel like that puts pressure into your back too much, don't do it. Keep your head in line with your spine. And some of you may want to get your feet. If you like the big toe hold, you can send your pointer finger and middle finger between your big toe and your second toe. Just be mindful. Let it feel good. One more breath here. And then we're going to rise back up, and we're going to bring our hands behind us and bend our knees and put our feet on the floor. Now, if you're not wanting to lift up, don't do it. You can turn your hands either way. You can turn your fingertips to where your hands are turned back more towards like a 45-degree angle here, or you can turn your fingertips to face the foot of your mat. Now, if you just want to lift and open your chest, don't lift your hips up to do that. If it feels good to come up into that 4-footed table, you can. And if your shoulders are saying don't do it, then don't do it. Or try the different alignment of your hands, right? So sometimes just changing your hands from one to the other is like a huge relief thing. So if it doesn't feel good, don't do it. If you're fine to do it, you can look forward, you can look up, but that stresses my neck, so I prefer not to do that, but be where you can. And then we'll come down, and then for a second, just let your legs come long, turn your hands over for a second and give your hands a break. Give your wrists a break, right? You can drop your head forward and release there. Good. And then we are gonna make our way down onto the floor, onto our backs. So take your time, come on down, let your knees come into your chest, release them side to side. Let them widen out if that feels better, whatever feels good. If you'd rather do happy baby pose, do it, Whatever feels the best to release your back and your hips, that or Baddha Konasana. Good, and then let yourself bring your feet to the floor. Let your arms come out beside you into a T position here now. And let's cross our right thigh over our left. So thigh over thigh. Bring your knees in towards your chest and flex your feet for a second. Just release there into the hips a bit more. And then bring your left foot back down to the floor. So you're still crossed. You're going to lift your hips up, shift them to the right 2 or 3 inches and put them down. And you're going to let your knees come over to the left into a twist. Now, you can stay up real high. Your right foot can hold up the knees away from the floor. Or you can descend closer towards the ground with those knees. You can even use a block if you want. Put a block underneath to support you. And then see if you can just let your head turn gently to look to the right. So you're looking away from the direction your knees are going. And you're just trying to release into this twist. So see if you can. Keep your right shoulder melting down towards the ground. And be with your breath. Good. One more breath here. And now as you come back to center, you're probably going to want to uncross pretty fast and straighten your spine out because they're quite crooked. Lift your hips up a little bit, kind of straighten out. And then we'll come into crossing the left thigh over the right thigh and bring your knees in towards your chest. Flex your feet a little bit. Let yourself just enjoy finding a deeper release there. And then bring your right foot back down to the floor. Lift your hips, shift them to the left 2 or 3 inches and put them down. And then let your knees come over towards the right. So as you do, again, as the knees come over, if you need support, use it. You can put a block, you can put your foot on the floor to keep your knees from going so low down. And then turn your head gently, if possible, doesn't bother your neck, to look to the left a little bit. And then again, just imagine your left shoulder melting down towards the ground. And feel your breaths coming in and going out nice and fully and deeply. More breath there. And now again, as you start to come back up, you'll want to probably uncross pretty quickly, straighten your spine out, right? And then do what your body naturally wants to do right now. If it's to bring your knees in, if it's to come into bringing your legs up and stretching your legs up towards the ceiling where you do like little cross-country ski motions with your legs, or it could be anything, a wide angle or a Baddha Konasana there on your back. Anything that your body's kind of craving, and it doesn't have to be a yoga pose, you know that. It can be anything that allows you to be able to be more comfortable for Shavasana. And remember, I have a lot of stuff here to use. We have all these bolsters, blankets. If the idea of having a bolster underneath your knees sounds releasing for your back, let me bring you one. You just need to wave at me. Or if you prefer to let yourself turn and put your legs up the wall, that's another option. You know, there's no right or wrong. In order to be comfortable for Shavasana, you want to get comfortable for you. If you
Need a blanket, let me know. For under your head, same thing at home. Get what you need to give yourself support and comfort. And then just breathe. Just let yourself accept your breaths. In and out. Appreciating the wave of your breath. Not controlling, just observing. When your mind wanders and you find yourself off into thinking, just come back to again accepting the breath in and out through your nose. Giving your mind and your body time to benefit from all you just did. And letting yourself completely and fully relax. the ground underneath you, supporting you again. Allowing your breath to gradually come in and go out more fully, more deeply. And just imagine those deeper breaths re-energizing you, bringing you back into wanting to move again. Your fingers and toes might want to start wiggling at first, and your hands, your feet. You can move into arms and legs, doing whatever you need. You can stretch, you can bring your knees up and in if that feels better for you. Just take your time. You know you're welcome to stay on your back. You're welcome to roll onto either your right or your left side if that's good for you. But just take your time as you come back into physically moving again and feeling yourself there on the ground again. So that it feels easy when you're ready to rise up. It feels like the next natural thing to do, to let yourself come up to sitting comfortably, whatever that might be for you. Stretch your legs out if you need to, or grab a blanket. But just let your eyes stay closed if you can as you lengthen up through the top of your head and you start to just watch your breath again as it comes in and goes out through your nose. And on your next exhale, let your hands come gently to meet there in front of your chest, in front of your own heart. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.
Namaste.
Happy Friday. Thank you all for being here.